Hi there, and welcome to Mom Coach Wife. Today is Mompreneur Mondays, and if you're watching this on another day, Mondays here on Mom Coach Wife are considered Mompreneur Mondays. And it's a day where I bring you guys an amazing mompreneur who is showcasing not only her business, but also how she's balancing that with her everyday life as a woman first and a mother, maybe a spouse, or whatever it is that that mom may be in addition to being an entrepreneur. This week we'll be meeting Mallika of Mickey Photo. And I'm not going to go really deep into what it is that she does because you may get it from the photo portion of part of what she does, but she does so much more than photography. So yeah, I'm going to let her go ahead and get into this. But if you haven't already been following the series, there are 52 moms signed up for the entire year of 2021. And we started this at the beginning of the year. I have completely lost count now of what episode we're in, but you'll see it in the description or in the title of the video, which episode we're on now. But we're almost halfway through the year. So it's pretty close to episode like 20 at this point. But anyways, it's been such a journey being able to meet all these amazing moms and then share their story with you guys. If you've been enjoying it, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video so that other moms can also see this. The idea is that we motivate you, if you're a mom or planning on becoming a mom, to first and foremost understand that you're a woman first, and then once you are a mom, if you're not already, to understand that you can be so much more than just a mom. And it doesn't mean that you need to start a business in order to do that, but that there's so many other things to you, so many other roles that may be important as well. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with embracing those as well as embracing motherhood. So again, I hope that you guys have been enjoying the series and all of the women from all over the world who have been a part of it so far. We still have probably close to 30 more moms to present to you before the year is out. And depending on how this is taken in, we may do this again next year as well. So again, if you've been enjoying it, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and hit the bell for notifications. But for now, let's go meet Mallika. Hi, Mallika.
Hi there.
Thank you for joining me for Mompreneur Mondays.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Mallika, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone. Tell us who you are and what makes you more than just a mom.
So, hi, everybody. My name is Mallika Malhotra. I am the founder of Mickey Photo & Co. I am a brand photographer, a strategist, a mentor, and an author. I wrote a book called The Brand Photography Playbook. And I specialize in empowering women entrepreneurs to stop hiding and actually emerge as the face of their brand. I do this through photography. I do this through brand building, but I really try to help women find their message, master their message, and build their brand empires.
I love it. Yes, I think that that's so cool to make women be the face, because like before this, I was like scared to be on camera and do all those things. So it is really empowering to give women that strength to go out there and be the face of their company instead of hiding behind the camera, because it's easy to hide behind the camera than it is to get in front of it.
It's so important to be the face of your brand. I preach this all the time because I think as women, we're often afraid to do that. But when you step into that spotlight, you are able to connect so much quicker and faster and deeper with your audience. So don't be afraid to do it. Do it today if you can.
Yes, it is definitely a way to connect for sure. So tell me a little bit about your current family structure. How many children do you have? What are their ages? Married, single, dating, all the fun stuff.
So I have been married to my husband, Sunil, for 20 years. And we have three sons. My oldest son is Nico. He's 18 and he is in his first year of college, which is hard to believe. My middle son is Kishan. He is 16. He's a sophomore in high school. And my little guy is Shay. He's 11 and he is a sixth grader. So in middle school and in those tween years. So three boys, very busy household, but a lot of fun.
Nice. So are they like sports boys or?
So I have a mix of a little bit of everything. My younger two are very sports obsessed. They also love, that sneaker culture and hip hop and rap. My oldest son, he's a little bit more cerebral. He loves, the news and politics. So it's nice. It's kind of like we have a lot of different conversations, different interests, a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. You get such a variety there. So what do you think got your oldest son into politics? That's not a super common thing for someone his age. So
yes, I think we were actually living in California at the time, and all of our family was all over the country. I'm from New York originally, but we were living in California. And this was during the election, Obama's election. And we were really excited to show our kids that there was an African-American president, someone of color. And we were looking at all of the states and like measuring the Republican versus the Democratic states and kind of measuring who was winning what. And my son was obsessed with maps at the time. And so that love of geography and the maps and then tying that to this, election year really started this new interest in his to explore politics and the government and he became a political junkie at that young age. And it just grew. And now he's actually studying political science in college.
Awesome.
So it's crazy.
So you have a direct impact on changing the world.
Yes, but it goes to show that when they're young, you can plant seeds. The more you expose them to different things, it can really shape who they are as adults.
For sure. That's actually pretty cool that you guys took an opportunity to teach him about something that, like I said, is not very common for a young man going into college to be thinking about poli-sci. I mean, obviously there are some that do, but it's just not a very common thing. And to have that kind of an interest in it is pretty cool. Congrats,
Yeah.
Mama.
Thank you.
So what is your favorite thing to do with your family?
So we are big eaters. We love to eat. And it's hard because I'm the only female in the house and I end up eating like the men, which is a lot. But we love to look up new restaurants. We love to go out to eat. My oldest son is also a foodie and very adventurous. And so going to different restaurants, trying different cuisines, that's a big part of our lifestyle. And then we love to travel. I mean, obviously this has been a tough year on all of us. We haven't been able to travel, but we have taken our kids at a very young age out of the country. So, my parents are immigrants. My mom is from the Philippines. My dad is from India. My husband also, his parents are from India. So we grew up traveling out of the country. And so we definitely take our kids. Like I think I took Nico, my oldest, to India at 6 months old.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's hard, but the way I used to think about it is that if he's going to cry at home, it's the same thing as crying overseas. So I might as well be overseas.
You might as well enjoy the vacation. And I think if I have this right, because my daughter traveled with us, we got married in Jamaica. And so she traveled with us to Jamaica and she was under 2. And I think like before they turn 2, there's like no flight cost.
I think it's a small cost, but you can keep them on your lap.
Yeah, it's like either cheaper, there's like no cost or something like that. So yeah, I was like, that's a benefit. That's one less seat we have to pay full price for it. So anyone with new kids and wanting to travel,
when the time is right, travel. Yeah, just keep them on your lap.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the right time right now, but
yeah,
once we get some things under control. So I know you mentioned that you guys are foodies and you love to try different restaurants. What's the craziest thing you guys have ever tried?
I mean, we've done a lot of, sushi and like some weird types of raw fish, like sashimi things, with the eggs and things that I can't even really eat. That's kind of been a little bit different. I'm trying to think, once we were in Spain and we ate like the crown of the chicken, they had cooked it up and it was funny, it was
Really?
in the shape like a crown, the top of like the,
Yeah. Like the rooster's
yeah,
little
yeah.
thingy. Yeah.
They had cooked that up and we ate that and that was a little bit different. So
Is it
uh
is it like meat? Like
it's like chewy chicken. Yeah. You taste everything. You don't love everything, but you should try everything.
yeah, I just never thought that that was
Yeah.
anything really there, I guess.
I mean, and also in the Filipino cuisine, they tend to eat all parts of the pig. So you can eat pig's ears, a lot of other things. You're probably not appetizing and to speak about now, but I'll just go as far as to say I have had pig's ears before, crunchy as well. So
Yeah, I've
lots
heard
of
of
things.
pig's ears being a thing. So that one I've heard. I've just never heard of the rooster's crown being that one's new. So outside of traveling and checking out new restaurants with your family, what's some hobbies that you have are just for you?
Just for me personally.
Mhm.
So I'm a big reader. I have always tried to wake up really early, especially when my kids were younger, so that I could have some of my own time. And even though I was always exhausted because us mamas we definitely don't sleep as much as we should, I would make sure to wake up early just because it would give me my own private time. And I would read either fiction or business books. I'm like obsessed with books. And that practice has stayed with me over the years. I still do it now. And it allows me just to read so much over the years, so many different books. And so that's something that I love to do. I also find that fitness and exercise is a great way for me to stay motivated and grounded and like a huge stress relief. So you can imagine having a busy household and then having your own business. There's a lot of stuff going on, but
Oh yeah.
if I make time, and I have made time, and again, my kids are older, so I am able to do this. I don't have like a toddler tugging at me. I try to work out 3 or 4 times a week, and that just helps me in my mindset, helps me feel good in my skin, and is just good for your health. So those are two things that I do really for myself.
Awesome. So, going into the reading, what is your favorite book or a book that you would recommend for mamas who are wanting to be entrepreneurs, even?
Yes. So I have just read for the fourth time The Pumpkin Plant by Mike Michalowicz. I think it's one of the best business books that everyone should read. And it just really talks about, how to focus in on the right clients, how to figure out, what your special sauce, your niche is. Because we as entrepreneurs, we shouldn't really be serving everyone and doing all the things. We should really try to narrow down and hone in on that one zone of genius and just really cultivate that and attract people into that lane. And that will just help simplify your business and help you grow your business faster.
Awesome. So, getting into your business, what is it that you do, and why did you choose the business that you chose? I believe you may have already told everyone else, and of course, I know, but I just want you to kind of
Yes.
detail
So
why you chose it.
I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer for about 13 years. I actually started with children and family when my little guys were young. I used to take their pictures, and then that sort of got people's attention, and I would take other families' pictures. But then in 2015, I made a decision to not do children and family anymore and just hone in on brand photography. It was at a time where people were doing websites and social media and newsletters and blogging, and there was this new trend of doing the storytelling imagery to really bring your brand to life. And so I decided to take my own advice of niching down, because it's something that I tell my clients and my students is to really find that zone and stick with it, commit. So I committed to that. And what I love about that is that it really helps me empower women to step into the spotlight of their brand, to tell their story and express who they are in their business, all the layers of their business. And what I find is that when they do invest in the brand photography and when they start using it to boost their visibility, their business really starts to propel forward because they're seen as a leader. And you've probably seen this when you see images of women that are professional, that are polished, that are cohesive and are storytelling, you feel a connection with them. You
Oh
see
yeah.
them in a different light. You know them, you like them, you trust them, right? And so that is the work that I love, is that transformation. And it goes beyond the images. Like the women now feel like this force. So they went through the process of finding their brand and their message. They then expressed that and demonstrated that through photography and images. And then they take the steps to share it with the world. But what happens is that confidence just starts to explode. And that is what I love about what I do.
Yeah, and I think that is so cool too. Like I kind of mentioned earlier what you do, but also because like when I look at a brand online and I like to see who's behind it. Like I like to
Of
know
course.
that there's a real person first and foremost, because we live in a society where there's so many things that are like kind of like scammy and you don't really know who to trust. But when you have a face to go along with it and you have that image to know like, oh, this is a real person that's showing up, I think that that's super impactful. So yeah, I personally like to see that. So if anyone's like watching this and has been scared to be the face of their business, do it, because it's just, for me, and I'm sure for others, it just helps with the validity of the business.
Absolutely. I mean, you just think about it. Like now, how do we shop for, the services that we buy? Looking for a coach or looking for a photographer, you go on their websites, and if you don't see
Exactly.
images of that person, how are you going to know that you vibe with them? It's an emotional connection that you can create by just showing up as yourself in images.
Exactly. Exactly. So, how long have you been a photographer first? And second, how long have you been a photographer for the brand images?
So I started my business in 2008, my photography business. I'm
Okay.
completely self-taught. So for 13 years, I've been doing photography. And then, as I mentioned, 2015, I sort of shifted to brand photography. So that's 6 years I've been doing that. But now I also do brand strategy with my clients, because I learned that the best images were those that were grounded in strong strategy. These images weren't just meant to look pretty or be vanity. It wasn't a glamour shoot. They were meant to
Right.
grow your business. And so we used to do a lot. I do a lot of work with my clients in figuring out who they are, who they serve, what do they stand for, how are they different. And that is the foundation of branding. And so over time, I have found that not only can I do the photography, I can also do the brand strategy. And so I've been doing, group programs. Now I have a membership dedicated to brand strategy, and now I do masterminds for brand strategy. So my business over time, I mean, it's been a while, 13 years, has evolved quite a bit.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. 13 years in business is definitely a huge thing. So, congrats in being a photographer that long and having such an impact on first families and now women specifically for all this time. Now, as we are all well aware of, COVID affected a lot of businesses last year. So, what was the impact that COVID had on your business, if any, and how did
Oh
you
God,
overcome it?
huge, huge, huge impact. So photography is an in-person, face-to-face service, and it completely shut down that arm of my business. So my, biggest revenue generator for my brand was photography, and I had to cancel so many shoots. So starting in March, I did not shoot at all for probably 6 months. Luckily, I had diversified my business to have this membership, which I can coach online. So I can work from my computer, I can work from anywhere. Um,
Right.
and it just goes to show that it is important for people that have this in-person service to really think about how to augment that with other services that help your client. Because if something happens, you might not have anything to fall back on. And luckily, I had launched my membership in January. And that is what I focused on mostly in 2020, is focusing on that membership, cultivating it, nurturing it, figuring out the best structure for it. And then from that membership, I was able to do a pilot of this mastermind at the end of last year, which now I'm launching again. So it was a tough year, but I think, learning how to pivot and land on your feet is an important lesson. And, it's kind of like a wake-up call that you can't always put all your eggs in one basket.
For sure. So tell us a little bit about your mastermind that you just mentioned as something that you kind of added into your business. I love that you were so creative to say, hey, we've got something else that we can offer our clients. And it's almost like you already had that backup plan back in January before the pandemic really hit us here in the US. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your membership and your mastermind and when you're relaunching it as well.
Yeah, so I launched my membership called the Brand Attraction Society in January, and it's a membership dedicated to branding. So everything that we talk about sort of centers on branding or marketing, social media, anything that we can do to boost our brands. Because really branding is never a one and done. Like people often have the misconception that branding is your website or your logo. So it's like, it's done and it's never done. It's always evolving, like it depends on your messaging and who you're serving and what's happening in the market and what competitors are coming in. So you always have to be checking in on the health of your brand to make sure it still resonates with your audience. And so what we do in the membership is we have, group calls twice a month so that people can get real answers to their questions in real time. I think that's what everybody's hungry for. They don't want to Google it. They don't want to have to, wait. They want to be in a group where they have a question and they want to act on it. So It's a container that I've created that allows community, it allows mentorship, it allows trainings, and that combination really helps people move to the very next best step every single month to grow the impact of their brand. From the membership, as it was growing, and I've kept the membership small intentionally. I've designed it so that it's not like this huge membership of 1,000 people. I have 25 people because I want to make sure that I can handle it, and I want to make sure that people are getting results. So, I've designed it that way, but everybody has their own way of doing memberships. But from my membership, I found that there were members who were asking for more time with me. And so I said, gotcha, maybe I'll pilot a mastermind. So a small group mentorship program, 5 or 6 women, and let's test this out to see. And it actually went really well. It was nice to have more impact, more time with them, really, problem solve, brainstorm at a deeper level. And then I decided to launch it again this February. So I'm happy to say I have 5 out of the 6 seats filled, but it's a 4-month mastermind. And if this goes well, I'll probably think about launching it again in September.
Awesome.
And it's called Brand Up.
So you'll actually, when we feature you for Mompreneur Mondays, you'll actually be like midway or like almost through it, because you said it's 4 months?
Almost done.
Yeah, you'll be almost done with it. Okay, awesome. So then when we talk live, you can let us know if maybe you're considering doing that September one and whatnot. So
absolutely. Yes, awesome. I would love that.
Well, best of luck with the February relaunch of it. It sounds really amazing that you're giving so much of your time directly to your clients, especially that you keep it small, because that's one of the things that I really like that you said is that you kept it small. So it's something that you can manage. I know I've been a part of groups before where they seem to be just a little bit too big for the person running it to really connect with each and every individual that was in it. And that can be really tough when you're looking for help in a certain area, and then you get on and the person that you're expecting to work with through this group is not really directly working with you. So I really like that you kept it pretty small. Now, as of today, are you the only employee, or do you have employees for your company?
So I don't have employees per se, but I do have a team of people that help me. I have a VA, so more like a freelancer. I pay her, separately outside of the business. I have a tech VA, so helps me with some of the technical aspects of my business. And then I have a bookkeeper as well. So those are sort of and then I have an editor. So I have 4 people on my team that help me run my business, but I am pretty much a solopreneur. I mean, those are one of those things that you think about I've been in business for a long time. And so I want to scale my business, right? I want to
Right.
help more people. And I went from this one-to-one model of being a photographer, and now I help more people through the membership or some group programs or the mastermind. I did launch a program in November, which is a DIY program called the Brand Confidential Blueprint, which allows me to scale even further for people who might just want a little taste, right? For like $100, help me with my brand. So I created that because I never had that before. But it's hard when you have all these different things. You think about, do I need to grow a team? Do I need to get other people? But at this point, I have tried to scale my brand through products versus actual people on the team. I have my, freelancers, and that has been working well for me right now.
Awesome. Well, that is great that you actually do have a team backing you. I've learned from talking to so many other mothers on the series so far, like how important that team can be to saving them a lot of time and working on some of the things that sometimes they don't really know as well as their, what it is that they actually go out and do. So that's pretty cool that you're not totally a one-woman show, but you have those freelancers there to help you. Now, your children are a little bit older, so I am curious to know how balancing motherhood has changed for you over the 13 years. Because with your children being an adult, a teenager, and a preteen, that means that like your youngest, he came after your business started, and the other 2 were pretty little when you first started up. So how has your balance and what you have to do changed from when you first started to now having older children?
Yes, it has completely changed. So gives hope to some of you young mamas out there with little ones. It's hard when they're little. They have no concept of boundaries or time. When they want you, right? And so I used to wake up very early. I used to do work when they were sleeping. I would try to get a babysitter if I could, so that I could go to photo sessions. I would have to work it through my husband's schedule, lean on friends. You really have to kind of think creatively of who you can trust to help you with your children, so that you can constantly be working on your business. But there are phases where they have to come first too. The kids have to come first too. So I learned patience. I think, you have these big goals for your business and you can't reach them, but it doesn't mean you're not going to get there. Now I know, because I'm on the other end, when waiting for my kids to go to school so that you had a longer window of time, your life will completely change, right? Then as they get older and they're more self-sufficient, and then they can do things on their own, now my life is completely changed. Now they know that my business, I'm working, and they know that they have to figure things out on their own. And they've seen this with me since the very beginning. So in some ways, I know moms, they feel so much guilt, right? Like, I'm doing the work and I'm not there. Like, you are modeling such good behavior. And this is what I tell myself. So I will tell you, you're modeling great behavior for your children, that you are following your passion, the things that you love to do. And that is okay if you have to put them in front of the TV, or if you need to get a babysitter once in a while, that's okay, because you're modeling this behavior that I can see now as my kids have gotten older, that they know finding something that you love so much is important, and that you can do those things. They see it on the other side now. And so it's hard when they're little, but know that in time, as their life changes and they grow up and they can go to school, you'll get more time on your hands that will help you invest back in your business. So you just have to be patient.
Well, thank you for that. Because it is tough with a little one. And I totally get you with the schedule. I actually just had an incident where I planned something over my husband's schedule. And so it's like, oops.
Yeah.
So it is like really intense when they're little, to make sure that your scheduling is pretty accurate, between making sure that their schedule is on point with yours and your spouse's. So yeah, it can be chaotic. I look forward to the day where she can like make her own sandwiches.
Well, I just left my kids for lunch. I was like, make your own food. I'll be back in an hour. But you also have to just give yourself grace. Like, it's okay if it's messy. I used to say, like, there's beauty in the chaos because it's madness, right? The business, the kids, the home, the husband, it's just craziness, but it's okay. Give yourself grace. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to do what you need to do. Love your kids, love your work. It will all work out in the end.
For sure. Perfection is not realistic. Learned that the hard way. So I know that you enjoy reading and working out. Are there any other things that you do when you take time for yourself? And how often do you take time for yourself?
So, gosh, I should probably take more time for myself, but I don't. But when I do, mani-pedi is always nice, a facial, a massage, like that self-care is always nice. I got a new puppy, which is also a boy, and just taking walks with him has helped a lot,
Completely outnumbered over there.
I know, completely. But I think, being out in nature, taking time to breathe and just unplugging, it's important. I think, I watch a lot of, girly shows by myself in my bedroom folding laundry, and that's kind of my time. And they don't want to watch those rom-com or any of those, I love the 90s because I grew up in the 90s, like those 90s movies. So I'll do that by myself too. And it's good. I enjoy that solitude because I'm very much the center of our home and, in business, with all the things that I'm running. So those are a couple other things that I try to do by myself.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you have some good times when you are by yourself, but you were definitely outnumbered. I'm sorry. But then again, you're not missing much. You just probably would have got a lot of sass. Most of the moms I've talked to with little girls, including myself, got a lot of sass back.
Boys, they are loud, they are physical, and they smell, but they do love their moms. They do love their mamas.
They smell. I think they grow out of that after a little while. That's just because you got two sports guys.
Yeah, well, the teen thing, you're like, did you put on deodorant today? I think you need some deodorant.
Gotta remind them.
Yes.
Did that like change? I know like right now with my daughter being 3, she loves she pretends to put on deodorant because she sees mommy do it.
Yeah.
And then she loves brushing her teeth, and like hygiene is like so cool right now. And I hope, especially since she's a girl, I hope that stays that way. But were your boys ever like really into it and then like just dropped off as they got to teenage?
Yeah, no, I feel like if they drop off as a teenage, like you'll smell it. It's like, get upstairs, take a shower. Like this is like a non-negotiable.
Well, that's good. At least they know like mom is gonna be on top of that.
Yeah. They know.
So what do you feel like has been your biggest obstacle in your photography business between starting up till now, and what ways did you overcome it?
So I think right now, one of the biggest obstacles is I moved to a new state. So I'm new here in Maine, and it's hard to restart. It's hard to restart during a pandemic. It's hard to get your name out there. So I had a lot of success in New Jersey where I was before. So just kind of getting over that hump and knowing that it's going to take time. So some of the things that I'm doing is networking a lot online, trying to join different groups, different Facebook groups on the micro local level, and just building connections, meeting people, and just giving myself grace again that it's going to take time and be patient, but just keep at it.
Yeah, it's actually really beautiful what I've been seeing in a lot of the Facebook groups. That's actually how I met, I want to say like 90% of the moms that are in the series is through a Facebook group. Like I had no idea that there was so much camaraderie within those groups. And it's been a truly beautiful experience.
Yeah, I think especially now with COVID, people are hungry for that connection. And so Facebook groups become a space that you're
Mhm.
able to build relationships.
Yeah, it most certainly has. And I think you're right, because I feel like I even picked up on social media a bit after COVID, because it was kind of like the only human connection besides my family.
Yeah, it's isolating. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So tell me what a typical day looks like for you, pre-COVID and also now after COVID.
So, I mean, it hasn't really changed so much, to be honest. So, again, I'm an early riser, so I wake up early, I do some reading, I'll try to work out. I usually will have to drop my kids off at school. Now they only go to school twice a week, but so get them off at school and then shower and then get started with my day. I try to work between like 8:30 and 3 so that when they come home from school, we make a snack together, we get the download of the day, find out what their homework is. I don't do their homework with them. I send them off, they do their own homework. And then I'll try to wrap up my day between like 4 and 5. But during the day, I'm doing Zoom calls, I'm checking in with my membership. I could be, doing client management, a lot of different things I could be doing. I do a lot of content writing, I do a lot of podcasts. So my days are sort of different, but the start and end, I really try to end my day between 4 and 5 so that I can then have some time by myself, walk the dog, and then dinner time starts, preparation, being with the kids, and then after dinner, I love a glass of wine with my husband and watch some Netflix shows or something on TV. And I try to stay up late. My husband would probably tell you I probably fall asleep around 10ish, but that's usually the full day for me.
Awesome. Well, it seems like you have a pretty structured day, actually, which is good. I feel like structure is something that like keeps me sane.
Yeah.
I actually learned it from being a mother. And that fact that like structure for, especially for toddlers, I don't know how it is for teenagers, but I know like having structure for my toddler is like the only way that we really function. And the moment we get off schedule, it's like I can see her going crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then it was like, well, if it's working for a little human, it probably would be better to have structure too. So I love that you have some structure there, and that you make sure you squeeze in the wine and Netflix at the end of the day.
Yes, yes. I mean, during the day when my kids are now at home doing school, like I'll want them to be just as structured as I am, but I know they're not. So that can be like, what are you doing? Why do you have so much downtime? But they need to figure it out on their own. And I don't want to micromanage them. As long as they get all of their work and chores done, then I try not to like get too involved in all the other things that they should or should not be doing.
So now that you're 13 years into business, and is it 17 or 18? I'm going to screw this up. I know 18 years old is your oldest son, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 18 years into motherhood, 13 years into business. Who would you say has been your biggest inspiration, living or dead, family member, celebrity, doesn't really matter? Who do you feel like has been your biggest inspiration over these years?
Wow. Well, it's probably a lot of the women in my family are strong women. You know, they've left their countries. They were immigrants. They came here with nothing. They built a life for, me and my brother to be able to have the tools, to the education, to live better lives. And it's humbling. Like I remember that my mom came, as from the Philippines, not knowing anyone, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture. And that inspires me. Like we have it so good. I speak the language, I'm here. I have, all the things that they've given me in terms of education, all of that safety net. And so I find it, inspiring because I am trying to do the same for my kids, like having them learn the grit and the determination, because that as a child of immigrants, that's what they taught me. And so trying to pass on those lessons to my children can sometimes be challenging because they live a good life. And, it's hard. You don't want to teach them things that they, you don't want to be too hard on them, because that's not the way to teach them just for the sake of teaching them, right?
Right,
That
right.
lesson. So, but I think, the women in my family, my parents, the coming here from another country, starting over, finding success, giving us the tools for us to sort of springboard and do great things as well. It's humbling, and it's very, very inspiring.
Okay. I can only imagine what it had to be like to come into a foreign land, not know the language, and then build a life where you're successful and you're learning all these different things and raising a family in a completely foreign place, So
and during a time, like my parents came in the 60s, where not everybody was embraced here,
right.
And I think, I have moved across the country for my husband's work quite a bit. And so whenever I complain to my parents, like, oh my God, I have to move away from my family, they look at me and they're like, really? No, you need to go where the opportunity is. You got to suck it up. You need to stop crying because your kids are looking at you. Suck it up. We left our countries, we left our homes, we left our parents, we left our language, our culture, everything. And so it's kind of like, it's like tough love, but I appreciate it now,
Yeah.
and because they left so much and had so little, but, worked really, really hard. That work ethic is something that has always inspired me.
Yeah, that's some true perspective. I remember like my parents talking about moving at one point. We ended up not moving, but I know like one of their things was they didn't want to take me out of my school district. And that is a good perspective. Like there's people who leave their entire lives behind to go after a different opportunity. And the cool thing is like now we have Zoom and FaceTime and all these other little like video chat apps where if you do leave an area, you can still like physically see a person. I mean, true enough, like I can't give you a high five from the screen, but
There's connection, right?
Right. There's still some connection there versus like you leave and there's you're paying the extra money for that long distance phone call if you even have the access to a long distance back then. So yeah, that's really good perspective. As far as your business is concerned, if you could make 3 wishes about your business for the future, what would those 3 wishes be and why?
If I could have 3 things, I would love to automate it so that I wouldn't have to do a lot of work, like just get it done with a system so that it was kind of working on its own. I feel like I'm so hands-on with a lot of my business. I'd love to make my revenue goals and make more money so that I can reinvest it into the business and maybe hire more people so that it would become more automated. So those are kind of linked. And I think I'm really working hard and, finding people like you to speak more on different networks and platforms to share about, becoming the face of your brand and sharing your story. I would love to be on bigger stages, even though it scares me to death, but be able to share that message of like, we have to step into the spotlight. We have to be ourselves and share our expertise. And that is one way to really grow your business. So if I were able to be on bigger platforms to share that message, I think not only would it help my business, but it would have an impact on a lot of women in the world.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that getting your voice out there is such an important part of it. That's a main reason why I even started this series, was so more moms can tell their stories, regardless of what stage they're in, regardless of how long they've been in business, if they're new moms, been moms for a while, like the whole thing. I think it's so important that we as women let our voices really be heard. And if that platform is not there, that we create it, So I hope that you get on a big stage one day. I think that your message is beautiful. So, and if you do, make sure you let me know. So if I can attend, I can attend. If not, then I'll like catch a replay or something, depending on what kind of event it is. Maybe you'll do like a TED Talk.
Well, TED Talks scare me to death, but
really,
maybe one day. Yes, I don't know. I mean, TED Talks, because the content isn't like very direct. It's not like a business seminar. There's a spin to it that's a little bit different. That's why it's TED Talk. But I know, I don't know, the whole idea, every time I watch one and I think about me doing one, I'm like nauseous. So
just
we'll
keep
see.
watching them and doing like series like this, and you'll probably stop feeling nauseous after a while. I felt that way about being behind the camera for a while until I like forced myself to do it. It is rough. Like, I hate the way I sound when I listen to myself recorded.
I mean, I actually love, like, during COVID, I do a lot of summits and talks, but being in this sort of digital virtual world, I don't feel as nervous. But like standing up on a stage, and I've done it before, I know I can do it, but it is the panic that I feel if you see people in the audience and you're on like the stage and they're all looking at you. Yeah, that's tough. But everything with practice, right?
Yeah. Practice makes better, not necessarily perfect, but better. So if you were to name a book after your life or your business, what would you name that book?
I think I would name it Work in Progress. Yeah. I think we're always evolving and pivoting, changing, morphing, and we should always be a work in progress. I think there's always more development to do personally and professionally. I feel like after 13 years in business, if I look at where I started to where I'm now, there have been highs and lows and twists and turns. And so I think Work in Progress could be a good title.
Did you have like the 3 dots at the end?
Maybe, yeah.
Or like a loading, like a little loading.
Yeah.
I like that title. I had no idea what I would name my book. So I love that you had one. I took the cheap route out and named it after my business. So
well, that works too. That works too.
Like, I have no idea. I still don't know. Like, I never put much thought into writing my own life story. I think I would like hire someone on that aspect, let them get their creative juices rolling. Was there ever a time where you felt like just giving up on your business and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna go do a regular 9 to 5, or I'm just gonna be a stay-at-home mom, or like that? And how did you like push through those moments?
I mean, I think we always have those moments, if we admit it or not. Like, sometimes it feels like it'd be so much easier if I just had a corporate job, 9 to 5, where someone told me what to do and they didn't feel so risky with every decision that you make, or feel like everything was on my shoulders. They would be like shared decisions, right? But then I think about the flexibility and the creativity that's limited sometimes in those jobs. And I worked in corporate for many years before I had kids. And then I think of like, just not doing anything and just being with the kids and just, full-time mom, and, probably be a better cook, probably do more activities with my kids than I do now. But I just think there's some of us that are just not wired to do that. And I don't think I had a business before photography. When my oldest son was born, I started a business. It was a handbag business. And I just think I'm not wired to do one thing. Like, for me, there's that self-fulfillment. I want to be the best mom. And I chose this entrepreneurial life so I could be home with my kids. My husband, he's a physician, he's a surgeon, his hours are crazy. And so I knew one of us had to be home, and I was going to be home. And, being home, but then figuring out what could I still do for myself. And it took a long time to figure that out. But, I was lucky enough to figure it out 13 years ago, where photography became a lifeline for me. It was something that was transportable. It was something I could do flexible hours. But, the times where it feels dismal, where you feel like you just want to give up, I kind of go back to my why, like the reason why I do this work in the first place. It's, more than money. It's more than, being a role model for my kids, even though I want to, but it's really like this feeling of empowerment and confidence and leadership that I want for myself and that I want to give to other women. And it's nothing tangible, right? But it is important. And I've seen over time the results and the transformation in the women I work with. And that is a great reminder to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best things you can't like actually hold in your hands though, you know. Um, it's not there, in my opinion, there's no better feeling than like the joy that you can give somebody else from impacting their lives in a positive way. So yeah, I can totally get you on that aspect of like doing something that just fills you up inside. And yeah, there's other benefits to it as well, but in my opinion, that's one of the biggest ones. um I just lost my thought. It was like right there, and then I went to say it, and it was gone. And I can't blame pregnancy brain anymore because she's a toddler. So, as far as work, do you work like just locally? I know you're in Maine currently, correct? Do you travel for clients, or do you specifically work locally?
So for the photography, I work locally. I actually renovated a barn space here in Maine because with COVID, I knew how hard it was going to be as photographers to go to different places. Like people are wearing their masks. And large part of my business was like going to the coffee shop or the hotel or the library. And can't do that anymore. It's not safe,
Yeah.
right? And how am I going to take your picture if you're wearing a mask? And so I think one of the things my husband got me up here in Maine and made me excited about it was he's like, we'll finally get that studio you've always dreamed of. And I was like, okay. So we finally made the studio I always dreamed of, which is great because now I have my own space that now people can come to me in Maine or outside of Maine. My dream is to create this as like a destination brand boutique where you can come for your brand photos. Hopefully we can do retreats. Hopefully I can do workshops in this space. But again, I have those other offerings. I have the blueprint, I have the membership and the mastermind, which is really anywhere around the world. I have people from Kenya. I have people all across the country in my membership, which is kind of cool. And so yes, the photography is more localized, but I'm hoping people will come to me here. I won't travel so much because I think it's hard to travel. I mean, my kids are older, but they still need me around. I can't just leave to go. So the photography will always be localized, but my other services, my mentorship will always be more online and available to anyone.
Awesome. Yeah, I kind of figured that at least for the mastermind and the program and whatnot, that those things were probably going to be more available because it's virtual. But I was just wondering more so with the photography, because I know, especially after you said your husband's a surgeon, it's like I know those are crazy hours. So it would be, I assumed it might be a little difficult to travel for your business, but I love that you got your own studio now in your own space. So looking forward to hearing how you're able to expand that in some of the ways that you just mentioned earlier. Now, where would people find you, Mallika, and your business?
Yes. So you can see my website, which is mikiphoto.com. That's MIKIFOTO.com. I'm also on Instagram. That's like where I hang out most of the time. And my handle is at Miki Photo Co. So with a CO at the end. And that's where you can find out about photography and see my portfolio or learn about my membership or some of the products that I offer.
Okay. And what is one brand or photography tip that you have for mothers who are thinking about starting their own business or maybe new to business?
So branding, I would say, is really try not to look like everybody else. I know that we don't try to do that, but often we do because we don't do the work, that self-discovery work to figure out who we are. It's very easy to get inspired by the people that are doing well in our industries. But I would challenge you to take the time to really ask yourselves these 4 questions. What do you stand for? Who do you serve? How are you different? And what is the transformation that you create? And when you can get the answers to those 4 questions, you're now building the foundation to your unique brand story. So take the time to do that. I think it's easy just to put yourself out there, to think about colors and website and fonts and look at the inspiration around you. What is a little bit more challenging is to sit down and dig deep and answer those questions to see how that can become the essence of your brand. And then in terms of photography, I would say, take a look at your marketing, your website, your Instagram, and see how often you are showing up as the face of your brand. And if you don't see yourself at all, the time is now for you to actually start showing up as the heart of the brand, because that is going to be that connection point with your audience. They are looking to see who is the face behind the business. People connect with people. They don't connect with just products and services. So don't leave money on the table. Don't do a disservice to your brand by hiding and being invisible. Put yourself out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mallika, for your time and your tips. If anyone is trying to figure out how to connect with her, she stated it earlier, but I also have it pop up on the screen and it'll be in the description below. Thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone before we go?
No, this was such a great opportunity. Thank you so much for letting me share about my story and my family. I don't talk about them so much, but it was so nice to sort of look back at how my journey has evolved. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mallika. Talk to you soon.